Start your journey today. Log on to training.nti.org.bb. Right inside the studio this afternoon, we have the one and only Slug It Down. Walk on, brother, what's up? Hey!
NTA.org.
Yeah.
NTA.org. NTA.org.
Yeah.
Don't forget .bb. Come. NTA.org. What? NTA.org. What? NTA.org. What? Don't forget .bb. Huh? Vibes Radio Show. Huh? Vibes Radio Show. Huh? Vibes Radio Show. Huh?
Yeah.
Here we go. Vibes Radio Show. Huh? Vibes Radio Show. Huh? Vibes Radio Show. Indiana Chris Gill. Come. And let me go. Come. NTA.org.
What?
NTA.org.
Yeah.
Huh? NTA.org.
Yeah.
What? Don't forget .bb.
Oh.
You're inside to the nation's hottest radio show, Vibes Radio Show, every single day, Monday to Friday.
That's right.
3 p.m. Every 3:35 p.m.
On the dot.
to come and talk a little bit, just for half hour,
Yeah.
only half hour, but we enjoy it to the max.
That's
And
right.
every single Wednesday is something extremely important, something that we think the nation should hear, and they go up getting and Chris give big respect for coming with us and being
Respect.
so easy to work with. Love
Yeah.
all the time. Shout out to everyone locked on. Before you forget, Indian to tell you what we're locked on.
What work big yourself?
So big up everybody, so Woodworth,
Yeah.
big up Miss Hinkson
Mhm.
and the whole crew. So they can't cast me. Locked on. Big up Woodworth.
Woodworth
Big
family.
up, big up Abbas, locked on.
Yeah.
Big up Super Ruben and King Slim,
Yeah.
locked on.
Right.
Can't forget that that's
Foundation.
and big up everybody at Dexter Sports Bar.
Always locked
on.
Yeah.
Love and respect. No, this evening we have a very special guest. So I ain't talking no more Indian game. Tell you a little about her, and then I have some questions.
All right.
So you ready for this? This is ready for this exam this evening. I have some.
She's ready. She's ready. Oh,
I have
she's full of life.
I have some pertinent questions to ask.
Yeah. And the name of that guest today is Norma B. Thomas. Now, Norma is a retired social worker who worked as a counselor and then as the senior counselor at the Barbados Youth Advanced Corps, formerly the Barbados Youth Service, for over 20 years. Now, she enjoyed working with youth between the age of 16 and 22. However, her passion and capabilities were not limited only to this aspect of social work. She also extended her services to the elderly, people with disabilities, or anyone in need of help. Additionally, she counseled many people who presented with grief issues after experiencing loss. Since her retirement in 2022, which I don't believe she retired, she has continued to pursue her other passions, such as gardening and floral arranging. Inside the studio this afternoon, we have Norma B. Thomas. Norma, good afternoon, and welcome to the Vice Radio Show, the NTI half hour.
Good afternoon.
Right, come
Come
close to the microphone,
yeah,
man.
right, yeah, come closer.
Don't get nervous by me.
Yeah.
Go again.
Oh, good afternoon, Indian and Gail. I'm so happy to be here at 95.3.
That is it.
And I want to say good afternoon and Happy New Year to the NTI's management and staff, and
Yes.
also to those persons, as you would say, locked on.
Locked on. That is it. That is it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I am indeed happy to be here to talk to you about grief and loss.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again.
Grief and loss.
Grief and loss.
You happy to talk to you about that?
Yes, because there are people out there who would need to know more about grief and loss and what they're experiencing. And I believe that I would be able to give them a little or a few tips on how to manage grief and loss.
Okay, we have a whole host of questions we can certainly ask you. And then she's a counselor, used to counsel, used to BNYS. Which you know sometimes to get boys and children from the rougher side. But before we ask you about these questions to help our society and the youth, you start with grief and loss. Why do we have such a hard time dealing with?
Explain that grief is painful, and human beings, it is a natural occurrence. Grief, when you lose something that you love, something that is valuable, right? Unless you have the support system in place, right? Just losing those things, our loved ones, it will be hard because you're human. Even pets. I had dogs, at least my daughter had dogs when they lost another dog that they were socialized, or not socializing, but live with, you find that they got withdrawn as well.
Yeah,
So
it lost-
animals too.
I lost a dog young and one got another one.
And you want to get another dog?
Nah, it hurt me. Like,
Yeah,
it
so
From
hurt
that
me.
time to now?
Yeah, it hurt me and it made shit up. Because you know you rough too. You know what I mean? It's from the streets. A dog dying hurt me. You know what I mean? Or set me a little bit. So you correct there.
Yeah, yeah. What happens is that when grief hits us, although it is a natural emotion and it happens in life, because inevitably, you know, you look at life, change will come.
Yeah.
And the loss brings change, and sometimes we're not ready yet to
We
accept
think
that
eternal
change.
though. We think eternal. You know what I mean? Like we think eternal. We think that your brethren, you got you forever. That whole we just think about it. You got a brethren or you got a parent, you got that person.
Yes.
For forever.
Forever.
Because planning to live without them, that's unimaginable. Like
For
right
some.
now we can't imagine me live without my mother and my father. And they old, so you know them ain't go long
No.
soon.
Okay.
And I can't picture my mother and my father not being on earth.
No, you can't picture it. But you know what? Let's look just recently where we had COVID-19. You know, there's so many people who are grieving still.
Yeah.
Even though it's a new year, and I would say a happy new year to everybody out there and come cheerful. But there's some people who just lost so many family members and they can't wrap their head around it. You understand? So that grief in process can take years for some, you know, it just they want to dismiss it. And that brings me now to my next statement. That grief has stages.
Stages.
Yeah.
Go.
And you will find that when you go through grief, right? You will first go through that denial phase. That really happened? Nah, I just went to the hospital and talked to him, man.
Right.
And now before he could get home good, you're telling me that he dead? Or, unfortunately, an accident? Nah, that can't happen. And we go through that denial stage and then we go into that shock and that, no, this has never happened.
Yeah.
All right? And then we go through the anger. Why? Why does that happen? You could imagine that he was just here and she was just here and you were having such a good time. Like you said, I can't imagine my mother. Then God, it's not even to question God. Why, God? Why you let my mother and father go? You understand? And then they say that there's another phase that you go through too, where you bargain. But suppose I just do this right or do that right, you know, maybe they will come back, maybe I'll be able to cope with it better. And then there's some people who get real depressed.
Yeah.
Real depressed. They can't imagine life without this house gone, pet gone, loved one gone. And if you look at people who grieve the loss sometimes, you can't a friend of mine, you can't fathom it. You understand? This is really what's happening here. And you go into a depression, you don't want to talk. Yeah. Take for example, Sluggy, your partner give you a horn.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
You ever had a horn, Indian?
I guess everybody had a hard
A horn, man.
I know if he had
You can call it.
Probably.
That person has now left you, they're gone. You can't live without them. Right?
That's a little deep there. I
And
don't know what
you can't
I
sleep. You can't sleep. You can't eat. You
I never had that before.
No, I never had a horn name.
Unfortunately for you,
I never had a horn name, thankfully.
Yeah.
No boy, don't make me can't sleep.
Fortunately, you know, you've never had one.
Fortunately.
But a horn
Probably.
sometimes can give you real grief.
People might have harmed me, but that's in the affect me.
It didn't affect you.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably, but we deal with grief different ways. Like, I recently
you.
lost my little brother, right? And
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, that's the problem. Probably a year and a half ago or so. As soon as I get the news, like next day, I went straight and get my hand tattooed with initials, but my hand being on board. And then when I done it, I tell myself they could have dealt with that different way, you know. But you see, tattoo already there already. I'm big on both on my hand.
What other way you thought you could have dealt with it?
Like with the grief, I could have spent time thinking about it. I do it and try to start thinking about it. Tell myself, well, I pay a tribute.
Yes.
So I ain't gonna feel bad, you know what I mean? Because in the vets for a long time. So for me,
The anger, you see that vexation?
Yeah, it'll real angry and I guess my anger too to come from because like me knowing that I got certain power, you know what I mean? So I don't want to channel certain things, but it can't because as everybody knows the voice of peace. You get me? It's the
Yes,
man that
yes.
everybody sees the man that's pushed peace all over. But I don't
Wonderful.
want to channel certain things and have me ain't like right. Like a whole year, have me over.
Yes, and some people go longer than a year. There's some people when they're grieving, sometimes a year pass, and that's when it goes into what we call complicated grief.
Right.
You understand? When they're not coming out of it at all.
Ooh.
All right, and then we have to look at them a little differently.
So how do we say Indian and got friends that dealing with grief?
Yeah.
How do we identify those stages?
Well, like I said, the stages, you might not be able to identify the stages. You don't look at it as stages, right? Leave the stages for the professionals, those that are trained to deal with grief. But if you have friends who have gone through a loss, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the harm, the house burning down, you lose all the possessions,
Yes,
whether
yes.
it's a divorce,
Yeah.
a limb, lose of a limb,
Yeah.
simple things that other people may say, oh, get over that,
Yeah.
right, for them. And you see they start to behave, they're getting withdrawn, they're looking sad, in that I can see that you're guys who like to be on the move and party, and this friend of yours no longer interested. Or you take them out and they go along reluctantly, and you say to them, "Let's go and have a drink."
Right.
And sometimes you find that this person doesn't usually drink, but now they're drowning themselves in the drink. They're drowning in the
The sorrows,
sorrows.
right.
You understand? These are little things that you have to look for.
Yeah.
And if they get to the point where you can't reach them, if you can't reach them and you find they're not stepping up it, I will say to you, get professional help. You have to look for somebody who is trained and who is a psychologist, a social worker, a trained counselor that they can talk to. Talking with someone about it helps. It will not take away the grief, but it will help them to cope a little
Gotta
better.
cope with it, correct.
No, since you said court, right? Can you share with the listeners outside some tips on how we can cope with grief? Can you share with us some tips and ways on how we can cope with grief or loss, please?
Sure. Right? Okay, so you have someone who has lost a loved one,
Yeah.
and that could have been through sickness, as I said already, right? And you notice that they're not doing things as they usually do.
And tips on how I can also cope with it as well.
Sure.
Not me personally, me someone anyone that's going through loss themselves. Tips on how they themselves can help themselves through grief or loss.
Okay, so you're the friend or you're the support person in the family, you're a family member, and you notice that, take for example, you have other siblings besides the one you lost,
Yeah.
and you notice that the other siblings are not behaving like they used to. And you realize that they're becoming withdrawn, and you realize that children, if they're at school, youth who are at school, they're not coping. You don't say, well, what happened with you? First of all, you have to go gentle. Right. You have to go kindly.
So then there's never a time for tough love in that situation.
There might be a time for tough love, but when the person is, and you believe, is able to deal with it.
Well, good.
I know there's some young people, not young people only, but there's some people
That ain't
who
there.
may use it to get more attention.
Right.
And if you're experienced enough, you will know it. But that's where I said trained professionals
Yes,
right,
yeah,
will
right.
come in. But if you notice that your friend, right, your partner is not coping, you said, how are you doing today? But I noticed that for the last whatever time, weeks, whatever, that you're not really yourself. Would you like me to get someone that you can talk to? Because you're not really talking to me, right? And then you may say, okay, I have a professional, or I know a professional who will be able to help you.
Right.
And you will let that person, you will encourage them. You can't just say, my God, can we go? You got to think, no, you have to go kind, you have to go show empathy.
Right.
Because what hurts you one way will not hurt them the same way.
It's true.
And you will have to,
That's so true.
Yeah.
yeah, you understand? So you have to be able to understand where they're at and guide them through it nicely. You can't, there's no one way of handling grief. So all I can say is that the person who is now spiraling, but usually when you're spiraling and you're going down, right? Sometimes you may think that oh man, I can do that tomorrow. No, you never get there. But you, the friend, the supporter out there, you will have to notice it and draw it to their attention kindly and say, come, I recognize that you're not really coping that well. I don't mean to offend you, but let's go and see somebody that we can talk to.
Yeah.
I hope that does help.
God bless you. God bless you. I'm sure you're helping a lot of people today. And just give a quick word from the NTI, but when they come back, I want you to talk directly to the persons listening that are going through grief, because you know somebody listening going through grief. I want you to talk directly to that person, and what would you like to tell that person this evening? People, like Indian say, we have retired social worker and counselor Norma Thomas, and he's refinding hope after the holidays and coping with loss and grief. The NTI.org.bb, NTI.org.bb this week's featured course is Life 101, Mental and Physical Self-Care Indian. Mental and Physical Self-Care, and it's absolutely free. With rising stress levels and anxiety among students and people generally, this course serves as a vital tool to promote well-being, manage stress, and inspire positive lifestyle changes through engaging lectures, multimedia content, workshops, group discussions, and practical tips. Students will be encouraged and motivated to make lasting improvements in their lives. This is absolutely free, beginner level, and it's offered by the University of California, and it takes approximately 15 hours to complete. That is no time at all. You're outside right now on the block line, man. I don't want you to go home. You could just do a half hour right there. You could do 20 minutes right there. We ain't going inside before you lay down to sleep, before you shut your eye. Put another little 20 minutes.
20 minutes right there.
And that's 40 minutes gone.
One
Easy.
time.
You know what I'm saying? This is absolutely free. Let's read one review. Schools in general teach us how to perform well academically. We only realize how important basic life skills are after leaving school. Without a healthy body and mind, we will not be able to pursue anything else. This course is one of a kind. I really enjoy the class and gain and benefit from it. Absolutely awesome. NTI.org.bb. All courses are free. We have over 5,000 free courses. What you can do, man, what you can do, you want internet, Chris, get this play a tune or two when we come back, because they ended with you. You understand? When we come back, I want you. I say scrap all my questions.
Yeah.
Because we talking about this evening, man, I being really extremely important. You understand? For myself personally too, so he being a bit selfish, because they need help with coping with certain things, especially doing what you do every day. I sure people in India, Chris, who meet so many people, deal with so many people, you can't keep all. We ain't God. You can't keep all. So you lost somebody that you love. So this is, so I thank you so much. We can spend a tune or two when we come back. We can talk directly to all of us out here listening who might be going through grief right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Norma Thomas, thank you so much.
Knowledge and skills to be citizens of good character, confident and creative. Agents achieving excellence, competent in a digital world. Smart Barbados, we are aiming for every man, woman, boy, and girl. Make the country brand new. Start the journey today. Log on to training.nti.org.bb. Full of the material skills. 95.3 FM. You are in front of me like a little company, but you're not me, please, cause I like fantasy, so your body's calling me, only what I want, no style me. Back up the bumper, all on me. I let you do the dancing thing. I like your best, we're in the best. I know that I can try in your list. Don't run from it when I push up the best. Push up the, I'll let me see you rock that body up. Rock that body up. You know I like it when you rock that body up. From the down, I rock that body up. You know I like it when you wind up your body and look it up. I'll wind up your body and look it up. Just wind up your body and look it up. You wind in front of me like a little company, but you're not me, please, cause I like what I see. So wind up your body and look it up. Too sweet when I wind body up. You're too sweet when I wind body up. Can't tell you lie, but I can't get enough of your love. You
let me get back here again. NTI.
.org.bb. Over 5,000 free courses. 5,000 courses free. Indian and Christian.
Free.
The entire country is listening. Nation's #1 station, so we got the most listeners. You know what I mean? I need you to talk to all of us this evening. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I told you that grief has its stages.
Yes, please.
The denial, the anger, if I may just repeat, we also have the bargaining stage, the depression, and then the acceptance.
Yeah.
And first, let me say again that grief, not one of those stages can, there's no stage that I put right go through grief in their own individual way. Right.
But
So
they will feel all of these things for sure.
They will feel them. Yeah,
So I felt all of those things for sure.
Right, when your brother passed. Right. They will feel them. You will feel them. Grief is a part of life. And like I said, once you've lost something valuable, then expect that grief will happen. But grief does not mean that is the end all, right? It is that process. And the only way to get a grief is to go through grief. All right? The only way that you can get through grief is to live through it.
Then you can do the speed it up.
There is no way around grief, right? You go through grief, but to get around grief.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, healing takes time and attention, right? There's no set time to say that, hey, you were going through this for the last 2 years now. Get over it, get through it. No, it does not work like that. There's no magic formula when you are working through your grief. But what I'll say to those persons who are going through grief and who seem to think that there's no way out, be gentle with yourself. Be kind. If you are stuck indoors and you're not coming out now because you don't want to see the sun, you don't want to be out there with people, and it's gonna, talk to someone at home. Don't stop there by yourself. Go into self-care, right? Start to take your walks. Do little things to yourself that you weren't doing in the last few weeks, months, if you get the energy. Call a friend. Say, hey, I've been here for a while, and I didn't realize when I look in the mirror, I didn't realize I ain't get my hair do for a while for you young people. Young people, the things that would get up and get your nails done. Start to, but be gentle. Don't go and rush and do everything. Don't take it and go away.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. It is okay. Grief is all right in that it is a natural emotion. There isn't anything wrong with your mental state. It is just that you're going through the hurt associated with grief. So you have friends though. Those persons who are spiraling, they may not even have the energy to get things done. And I would say to those friends, be your brother's keeper. The neighbors, look out for that elderly person in the society who no longer comes out and say, hi, shout the neighbor. And you're wondering what happened to Miss Thomas. Right. Miss Thomas. Well, you want to see Miss Thomas. Knock on the door. And say, I haven't seen you for a while since your husband passed.
Yeah, all right.
Because sometimes, of course, because sometimes you see those elderly people and they have a partner in the house with them. 2 old people together and one is taken.
Yeah.
And you realize that grief can be so intense that older person sometimes, not coping, they're not eating properly. Ask them if they're okay, nothing wrong with that. I saw your window shut up today, but I ain't seen you coming. Now, what happened? You understand? Or for them, opportunity to talk. Start with talking and saying things. Would you like my help first? But you don't be intrusive and barging and somebody like, get up, come up, my. No, you have to be kind and you have to be gentle in your approach without, going and take over. They don't want you to take over. They just want to know that you are supportive.
Yeah.
Okay? So that is what I will say to people out there who are grieving. Be gentle with yourself. Start to do some self-care. Do the little things bit by bit. One of the things that I would advise you, especially younger persons listening to this program, right? Don't come out and start to use alcohol, because then you may find that it numbs the feeling, and then you say, oh, let me numb some more, and then you start another issue. All right? So don't advise
another
friends
problem.
to start.
That is so
Yes.
important because alcohol is so easily accessible, especially if you're of legal age. You know, if you're of legal age, you can just go and buy alcohol.
Mhm.
And then the prerequisite that's going bad, you just deviate, drown your
Yeah, and drown your sorrows, and then when that wears off, the grief is still there. Like I said, it takes time, but self-care is important. Your support system should be there. And don't, if somebody come and ask you something, you do it how you approach them, like make a difference between them opening up. Like somebody said, you ask open-ended questions, don't accuse, so that they won't close up more, right? And you'll find when we're talking about grief, you find something that happens to people who go through grief a lot. A long time has passed, and we assume that they've been through it, and then they hear a familiar sound, and they get a familiar smell, and that reminds them of that loved one, and they go through something called, sudden temporary upsurge of grief, stuck, and you hear them start to bawl. What happened in here? Was she did just good?
Yeah.
She did just good. What happened? All right? That is all in the grief process. All right? That weeping, they weep again openly around the anniversary. And that's what you see, like, I was supposed to hear around Christmas time, right? There's no real time for grief. Grief can be any time, but there's specific times in the year, birthdays, celebratory times, Christmas days, the beginning of the year now. I may say Happy New Year, but it wasn't happy for some people.
True.
All right? They lost a loved one last year at the beginning of the year. You see? So the memories are all flooding back. Be understanding and be gentle. That's what I have to say to those persons grieving.
Be
Understanding and be gentle.
Yeah.
That's it.
Video boy. Listen, we bring them at the same page at the same time,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's forced to be so tough originally.
Yeah.
It's have to be if you really want to get to a certain level, you know what I mean? It's gotta be a certain way. When you want to exhibit discipline, you gotta be extremely tough. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in business or entertainment. Or if you're in business period, you gotta be tough and ruthless. You know what I mean? You can't be gentle, because the more gentle you are, you can meet the worst. Because the worst will come, you can't help it. You know what I mean? So you gotta be tough. Then when something happen to you, you gotta work all that way.
Yes, you're so true.
I
I always remember when, if I may go there, dare to go there, when you all lost John Doe.
Yeah.
Just missing his voice.
After me here old up on the 3.3 feet side.
Yes.
All them belongs to John Doe. He ain't produce it, he ain't write none there, so but just that because his name was so
Attached.
and attached to that.
Yeah, that genre music.
And anytime we hear it, just simply remember John Doe.
And grief will come again.
Yeah, we spoke about times of the year, my brother used to be on Twitter a lot, right? Named and JC Bugs, right? He used to be on Twitter a lot. So then, like, when around Crop time come around, he would always talk about his favorite songs he like that thing. You see when Crop come around, they couldn't stand being on Twitter.
Okay.
They couldn't stand seeing somebody walking up, boys. It bothered my mind.
Yes.
It really bothered me, and it bothered me name, and it was affecting me. So when you say so, it trigger back.
There's a little bit of anger coming through. Why? You're questioning why?
These people enjoying themselves, and ready to take it in. But when you say be gentle with yourself, that is so true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody there listening, like something can be hard, you want to be hard for yourself. I ain't getting through this fast enough. Life going on, you know what I mean? And then on the radio playing, sluggy talking and skinny him out, and they hear more than my mommy. You know what I mean? That's being the head. But when you say be gentle with yourself, that explains a lot. Like it's okay to say, well, let me take my time and get through this. Right, let me take my time and get through this how I can. I ain't need to rush to get through it. Because 2 years gone, this may take away from what you say. Because 2 years gone, or 5 years gone, or 10 years gone, I mean, man, you should get over it. You don't mean that, because everyone goes through it in their own time.
In their own way, in their own time.
And when you mention these stages, even Indian, she said that we all might not experience the same things in the same exact chronological order. You mean that, but you will go through. You will go through all of them. And most importantly, again, be gentle with yourself.
That's right.
And if I may add here, I said a lot to find trained persons, trained people to deal with your grief. Because sometimes we talk to people and sometimes you feel a little bit worse because they're not able to really help you.
Facts.
And
Facts.
yeah, and when I tell you to find someone, young people out there listening, or even elderly people listening, where do I find these trained people? Just let me tell you that in Barbados, right, we have a myriad of social services available. And see our polyclinics? Our polyclinics are now equipped to deal with people who are going through mental issues, etc. And grief is no exception, right? If you walk in there and you want to speak to a psychologist, a psychiatrist to help you through your system, your grief, you do that. Any polyclinic, you have them equipped. We also have the assessment unit at the psychiatric hospital. You can also call the Barbados Association of Social Workers, not they themselves everything, but they will refer you to those trained people who might be able to assist you. And if you're a young person and you know that going to the doctor, would need a parent or whatever it is that is bothering you, get a friend to go with you or somebody who's adult and supportive to take you to see, because when you get there then and you're a minor, that brings it to another level of intervention or whatever.
Thank you very much. NTI.org.bb. NTI.org.bb. Over 5,000 free courses. Salutes to Miss Norma Thomas. Thank you very, very much for passing through again. It was extremely insightful, and it surely helped me for sure. So I'm sure it helped everyone else. Indian and Chris Gill, thank you so much for accommodating me. Maximum respect and keep up the good work. NTI, this is your boy, Uncle Sluggy, Hot 95.3, the nation's #1 station. And I'm out.
That's right. Okay, guys, a half hour of music was brought to you with the Common Server, the National Transformation Initiative. Thank you so much, Norma, for